Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and the crypto market and its response to the latest CPI report. And there's going to be a lot of things I'm going to be looking at. I'm pretty excited about this one. So if you like this content, smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the comment section. So the charts today, how about I just start off here? The charts today have been really interesting. Now I'm on a daily chart, so you can't really see this. But the initial reaction to the CPI coming at 6.5 was a little bit of a dump, not a huge one. I was surprised to see not nearly as much volatility. And then we just kind of hung out the $18,000 range and then shot up well into the territory of the bull market support band. So we are above the 20-week SMA. That's a good sign. That gives me hope. But we're going to talk about this later. I'm intrigued because 6.5 met expectations. And I thought, here's what I thought. I thought that people were betting on, were buying 2 days ago, the 11th, in the hopes that we would see a better than expected CPI report, but it met expectations. Month over month was down by 0.1%, so good sign there. But so I thought the market was going to be disappointed by that, and it seems so far, cross your fingers, that the market is taking this drop pretty well. But let's take a look at what the world is saying about the CPI report. So CPI report shows fall in gas prices helps inflation slow again in December. And so remember, this is the December report, even though we have it in January, it is not the January report. So what do we have here? We can see inflation eased substantially for a third month in December as tumbling gasoline prices and a moderating rise in grocery bills offset another surge in rent. Consumer prices increased 6.5% from a year earlier, down from 7.1% in November and a 40-year high of 9.1% in June, according to the Labor Department's Consumer Price Index, a measurement of what people pay for goods and services, which we all know is nonsense. Real inflation is much higher than that, but let's pretend with the Labor Department. And on a monthly basis, consumer prices fell 0.1%, the first decline since May of 2020. So CPI has lowered as we would have expected. Again, what does this mean for the price of Bitcoin? Bitcoin jumps above 18,000 to highest level in a month on cooling U.S. inflation. And so we're seeing Bitcoin's up. Bitcoin on Thursday surged to its highest price in nearly a month as traders bet on a U.S. inflation cool down and digested news that lawyers for the defunct exchange FTX have found billions of dollars. We talked about that yesterday. The world's largest digital currency climbed above 18,000 for the first time since December 14th, increasing by a value of about 4% in the last 24 hours. So U.S. data out on Thursday showed a modest retreat. Consumer price index decreased 0.1% in December on a monthly basis. So good things, but here's the question now. Here's the question that we're going to ask is, what is the Fed going to do as a result of this? And even there's some things that I want to point out, some different theories or hypotheses that I have been processing. And I think that I'm willing to throw out one of those hypotheses. And so here's my line of thinking is that hypothesis number one was that we would see the CPI continue to drop until it got to about 4% and that it would level out at 4%. And the Fed wouldn't be happy about that, but that there'd be nothing that they could do. If you know, historically, they want it at about 2%. They don't want deflation. They just want it about 2%. My thought is that we're going to continue to decrease to a level of about 4% because of the M1 money supply just being increased at the rate that it's being increased, that we're going to remain at around 4%, but not 2%. That was hypothesis number one. Hypothesis number two, which I have decided to throw out pretty much, I think, was kind of a falling knife hypothesis where it just slingshot in the other direction and we saw CPI go to the negative, and that we had a period of deflation, which the Fed also doesn't want. Looking at this month's data, I think that is not the scenario that's happening right now. And It is what it is. I wouldn't say it's good or bad. I think they're both not great options. I would love for there to be no inflation ever and that our money would be sound. But between those two, neither of them are all that great. So 4%, maybe that's what we're going to see now. But what about the next Fed meeting? That's really what I want to take a look at. And then I'll take a look at Bitcoin's price and do analysis there. And so here we have an article. They're definitely still hiking. Inflation cooling may not deter Fed. So markets remain indecisive. This article came out a little, it came out 10:53 a.m. Eastern time on January 12th. It's a little dated as I'm making this video, but the consumer price index met expectations, et cetera, et cetera. And so now we're wondering, are they going to raise interest rates, or more so, how much are they going to raise interest rates? This article, interviews an expert where he talks about, yes, they're definitely going to continue hiking. They're going to continue raising rates for the next several Fed meetings. And, maybe there's some truth to that, and that's something we need to consider. There's a few other things that I want to take a look at first, just to give some different perspectives. And one is this chart right here, and you can see the 2-year yield. And the bonds, this is a theory at least, that the bonds lead the Fed, that the Fed just follows the bonds. And when bonds reverse, the Fed is right after that. And so you can see in early 2000, late 1999, we saw a rise in the two-year yield. And as soon as it dropped, then the Fed decided to pivot and then drop entirely, lower their rates. And again, we see in 2005, 06, as soon as the 2-year yield pivoted, the same thing happened with rates. And then again in 2018, 2019, pivot. And so we see here, 2-year yield, we've seen a pivot. And what's going to happen with the Fed? Are they going to do something they've never done before? Well, if we were looking at the last 25 years for information on that, we would say that history suggests that the Fed is not going to raise rates literally the next time they have a meeting. But is this time different from 1999, 2005, or 2018? Yes, this time is very much different. And why is that? Because we have inflation levels that we haven't seen in more than 40 years. And so I wouldn't bank entirely this happening, that the Fed is just done entirely raising rates. I tend to agree with this person who said they're definitely still hiking, but I think, and I'm holding this very loosely, I think that we might be close to an end. And so CME futures, this has been on point for the FedWatch tool, not futures, excuse me, the CME FedWatch tool, been on point. So we have 20 days, about 19 days, 20 days until the next Fed meeting, until the next minutes are reported. And the CME FedWatch tool gives us a 95.2% chance that the Fed is only going to increase rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points. That is, I would say, unless something drastic happens, you might as well bank that in, that it's pretty much 100% that we're going to see a 0.25% increase. But there is another CPI report that will come out for January, and then after that, and as long as we don't see anything crazy, it could be that this is the final Fed increase, and that we're going to start seeing a pause. And then probably within a few months, or a few Fed meetings at least, we're going to see them starting to decrease rates. We'll see about that. But again, we are in unique territory that is not similar to any point in the last 25 years. Again, that's why I would say, yeah, I'm holding this loosely. But looking at the price of Bitcoin, there's some promise here. We are in the bull market support band. We have broken through a couple of key levels that I've boxed out here. The 17,500 level, I talked about this yesterday, that June bottom, which a lot of us wondered, is that the bottom? That held as the bottom for about 4 or 5 months. And that turned when the SBF news dropped, the FTX news, or I should say, when that dropped, that level of support turned into resistance, and we were not able to hold any kind of breakthrough that level, the 17.5 level, as we weren't able to hold that as support. It just turned into resistance. But now we've broken through that level very well. The other level that I would say is around 18.5. You can see several different points, a lot of confluence here, several different bottoms over the last few months where that level, that 18.5 level, held very well. And again, once it breaks through that level of support, then it turns into resistance. But at this point, we only came up against that level of resistance once, really, in the last 2 months. We have blown through it. Now, we've got to see some daily closes and some weekly closes, but there's that, and then there's the bull market support band. We are right in the middle of the bull market support band right now, above the 20-week EMA, the 20-week SMA, but below the 21-week EMA. The 21-week EMA and the 200-day SMA are going to be key levels. We got rejected there at $48,000 about a year ago, the 200-week SMA. That was a key level of rejection. If we're able to break through that, then I would have a lot of confidence that $15,500 or so was the bottom. But just a reminder what happens when we get into the bull market support band, because last time we were in the bull market support band, I had some hope. That perhaps the bottom was behind us, but that is when CZ used it as an opportunity to expose SBF and his fraud, and which I will take as a positive. I take that as a win because I've never been a fan of SBF. But last time we got into the bull market support band, when that happened, I was hopeful until that news dropped. And then the same thing this time around. I would say I'm hopeful. But there is the potential that we could be bracing ourselves for some kind of major news to be dropped that'll send the price even lower than where we've been before. There's a lot of things that I'm just waiting for confirmation. But just as a reminder, the significance of the bull market support band, remember the capitulation. Oh my goodness, my page is loading. No. In 2018, let me just scroll and find that real quick. The capitulation in 2018. Let me just go to a 5-year chart. 2018, so you can see it here. Give me a second. I don't know why my page was loading, but we had this capitulation in 2018. $6,000 down to $3,000 within a span of a month. And then we were just kind of lagging there, just slowly, but it was miserable. It was really boring. 4 months of misery, of boredom, of all the haters saying that they were right about Bitcoin. But as soon as the bull market support band got down to the level that the price was at, we were in that level in the bull market support band for a couple of weeks, but then we shot straight up through it. And we shot straight up through the 200-day simple moving average. And then I'm going to draw a fib here. We hung around the 618 fib level from the right around the capitulation point to, oh man, I didn't finish it here. Give me a second. To the bear market bottom there. We hung around the 618 fib level for a month. And then we shot off and it was over. Once we broke through the 618 fib level, it was over. That was, in my opinion, that was when we could confirm that the bottom was in the past. Now, of course, we had the COVID crash, but I'm not going to count that. And same thing this time around. I am waiting. Again, I've talked about this before, but I'm waiting for a breakthrough from this point right here before that capitulation. I pushed the wrong button again. Forgive me. But from that capitulation to here, and just the 618 level, I am dying right now. My goodness. Bear with me. Okay, how about we do this again? From this level down to the bottom here. And I want to see a breakthrough the 618 level. Now, this was a very crudely drawn fib chart, but we see a price of $25,490.51. If we break through around that level, I could see us spending several weeks there, just like in 2019, 2018, But if we break through that level, in my opinion, I will say, and I would say that that is a confirmation that $15,500 or so was the bottom. But we still have a long way to go. One other thing that I'll point out is that miners, the same thing happened in 2018. Miners started capitulating, started their offloading in August of 2022, and their net position change was in the negative until very recently. And so that same thing happened in 2018, early 2019. Miners, they sent the price lower. They couldn't keep the lights on anymore. And so they had to sell their Bitcoin. And as of recently, they have stopped, and now they're adding to their net position. And the same thing again, 2018, 2019, when the miners started adding again to their net position, that was the end. That was after the bottom. The bottom had been in. And so this is a good sign. And listen, I am hearing lots and lots of people who I want to be fair, have been accurate with their analysis, saying that, calling for, when Bitcoin was in the 30,000s, calling for Bitcoin to go to the teens. And here we are in the teens. And they were right. I was more so thinking that we were going to hold that 618 Fibonacci retracement level, or at least that we were going to hold the 200-week simple moving average, which right now is at $24,000. But we did not, and we went to the teens. And now a lot of those people who said that we were going to go to the teens, a lot of them are still saying we have lower to go. I personally, dare I disagree with them again, I have a hard time, based off of what I'm seeing, agreeing with them. But it's always going to be in the back of my mind. And again, I am not confirming anything. I'm not confirming that we have reached the bottom. For me, it's more wait and see, but they're a lot more confident that we have a ways to go down. We will see. But that has not prevented me from buying Bitcoin in the $16,000 range. I hope it didn't prevent you. And still today, now, when I see a green candle like what we're seeing today, I'm going to take a step off the gas a little bit. But when I otherwise at 18,000, et cetera, amount of dollars, I am still a buyer. Of course I am. Come on. We are going to put in a higher high next cycle. I never say 100%, but that is quite a phenomenal return for Bitcoin, or if you want to buy specific alts for those alts, just be a little bit more analytical with the alts. But anyway, taking a look at the charts here. So for some reason, Coin360.com puts lower numbers than everything else, but Bitcoin, as of the moment that I'm making this video, is $18,632, or a little bit higher than that. We're just seeing green across the board. Matic's doing very well, which I'm kind of bummed about because I want to add to my Matic stack. Cardano's doing well. Ethereum's doing well. We're seeing a lot of cryptocurrencies up more than 5%. Don't pay attention to the stable coins. Of course, the stable coins are a little bit down today. People are exiting their stable coins and buying crypto, non-stable coin cryptos. So there's nothing really of the major cryptocurrencies that are up enormously, but it's always good to see a green day. But anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.